Good afternoon to you. Mark's out of HurricaneTrack.com here. It is Monday, the 20th day of December 2021. And as the headline says there, we got a big travel week coming up. That'll be the big focus of today's discussion is travel for the lower 48. I don't have time to go into global travel right now for the big Christmas holiday coming up. So we're going to focus on the lower 48 when we get to that part. But first, a little bit of tropical stuff. You know, this is the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion off-season edition because it is, of course, late December. It's not hurricane season technically, but it is tropical cyclone season somewhere all the time, every day, every month of the year. We can get tropical cyclones somewhere along our wonderful blue planet, and we do have one of those right now. Tropical storm Ray or Rai, however you say it, way over in the western Pacific. It went through the Philippines and unfortunately caused a pretty significant loss of life, hundreds of people dead perhaps, and a lot of damage down there as it cruised through the Philippines as a very intense typhoon. Now it's off the coast of Southeast Asia, weakening as it moves by. Just wanted to point this out that yes, it is still tropical cyclone season somewhere along the globe, any time of the year. Another area of interest here. Really shouldn't develop into anything significant. Just a low pressure area, an invest area that we call it. It's 94B for those of you playing at home, and shouldn't become too much of an issue other than very heavy rain. And that should just about do it for tropical cyclones for the year 2021. Not real busy overall, kind of a down year for global ACE or accumulated cyclone energy, but that doesn't matter. This one system here, Ray or Rai, and it was Odette when it went through the Philippines, that's what they called it, in their area of responsibility. It just goes to show you, like Ida was for the United States, that was a big, significant, one powerful major hurricane landfall for the U.S. this year in terms of major hurricanes, and this one was a significant system for our friends and neighbors over in the Philippines. So it only takes one, and this is certainly a memorable one as we round out the year 2021. All right, so moving on along, still along the topic of tropical stuff or whatever. This is, of course, the sea surface temperature anomaly chart that I'd like to show you. I want to make sure we visit this at least once per week and keep an eye on things out there. This is really interesting still. Look at all of that blue down there in the equatorial Pacific. The blue, of course, would be your colder anomalies, departures from normal, all through this area. The La Nina still holding on firm. The very warm Gulf of Mexico compared to average. And it really is. Look at all those deep reds and oranges in there. The Gulf really running above the long-term average significantly now. And then this ribbon in the Gulf Stream right here off the east coast of the U.S. and even the southeast coast. In that area, 3, 4, 5 Celsius above the long-term average. So some pretty significant positive anomalies in the Atlantic, contrasting with these negative anomalies over here in the equatorial Pacific associated with that negative ENSO, or El Nino Southern Oscillation, ENSO phenomenon. We have the warm main development region, relatively speaking. But boy, this northwest Atlantic, as warm as that is really, really striking. And all that moisture that comes up out of the Gulf and the added heat when the storm systems do cut across. We saw the terrible effects from that with the tornadoes in parts of the Ohio Valley, and then the big storm system just a few days ago in the upper Midwest. All of that added heat and humidity down here. This is energy. That is an energy source, and it is definitely causing some problems already this winter. And you can only imagine and think about next spring in the heart of Tornado Alley here as the Gulf plays influence at that time of the year. We'll deal with that when we have to several months down the road, but it's something we're going to have to pay attention to coming up into early 2022, especially in the spring months. So real quick, a look at the plumes, as we call it, from the CFS V2. That's the Climate Forecast System, version 2, and this is the Nino 3.4 area. And just a real quick primer on what that is. It's roughly this region right through here, kind of like a Venn diagram. They divide up, they being people like me. Well, I didn't come up with it, but oceanographers, meteorologists, that kind of thing. All those people have divided the ENSO regions through here, and this is the 3.4 area. It's kind of a mix between the 3 region here and the 4 region over here. There's like 1 and 2 over here, something like that. I'll pull up a real diagram of it for you next time around. But that's what we mean when we say the Nino 3.4 area. It's kind of this part of the Pacific right through here, and it's a good sort of measuring stick, if you will, of how the ENSO is behaving. And so here's where the CFS shows us where we've been, where we're headed, a little bit more of a dip still coming up, and then a little bit of more warming here. These blues are the most recent runs in the short term, next couple months through April or so. Maybe a little bit more warming than it was thinking previously. Then more of them inclined to stay neutral. And certainly very little evidence, just a few members over here suggesting El Nino conditions by late summer, which is how far out this particular plume goes. You know, there's April, there's July, there's October, and so the heart of the upcoming hurricane season lies right in here. And, you know, it's kind of a 50-50 split, and that's what the ensemble mean shows us. See how that works? The ensemble mean is the dashed line, and it is generally right down the middle there, just slightly on the warm side of neutral. And like I have been teasing when we get into early next year, on my very first update, I think it's a Monday, January 3rd, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to show you the past and how I am more concerned about those slightly neutral years than I am a big La Nina. You know, people hear La Nina and they think major hurricane season coming up. Well, it certainly dropped off this year, especially after powerful Hurricane Sam. October and November were both dual goose eggs, 0 for the Atlantic Basin, and even stuff in the Eastern Pacific there, Patricia and Rick, or whatever it was, I can't remember exactly, because they didn't amount to much. They too failed to really materialize into very powerful hurricanes, which is a good thing. But something is just, I don't know, the La Nina maybe not as conducive to strong hurricanes as we thought. Or maybe it is, and maybe this was just one of those one-off years. But I've got evidence that I can show you, and we're going to do that in January on the very first update of the new year that shows that these types of years here, where we are just slightly warmer than average, those are the ones that we typically get the biggest hits from. And I'll prove it to you. I'll go back and show you some stats and back up that claim. All right, so speaking of the Gulf, these are actual temperatures. These lines in here, these are called isotherms, or lines of equal temperature. Iso meaning equal, therm, in this case, temperature. There's 24 Celsius, just to give you an idea. There's 25. And then there's the 26 Celsius line. That's still warm enough to go swimming. Yeah, I'd jump into the ocean for that. That's about 80 Fahrenheit. It's not bad. And that's a lot of energy there. There's the 27 isotherm right there. That's about 81 Fahrenheit. Still poking its way up into the southeast Gulf. And lo and behold, not to be left out, is the 28 Celsius line right through the Yucatan Channel here. And, you know, what does all of this mean? Well, that is a very warm Gulf compared to the long-term average, and you can see that reflected in the anomaly chart that I showed you earlier, or we will revisit it again. There's that loop current really showing up well, and the very warm water relative to average pretty much everywhere, but right off the coast of Louisiana and then up against the shelf waters themselves, and even over near the Florida Peninsula, there are no cold anomalies at all in the Gulf of Mexico right now. And so looking at the actual sea surface temperatures, this is what it looks like. I mean, really, we are just a few days away until January. And look how much of the Gulf of Mexico, eyeballing it, looks like more than half, maybe 52, 54%, if I had to just eyeball it, which I just did, is warm enough to still support hurricane activity. Now, we don't have hurricanes in the Gulf this time of year for a number of other reasons, and let us all be thankful for that. It's bad enough already with the hurricane season as it is, but this is remarkable. And if this really holds on through, let's say, mid-January, it's going to be time to start talking to some other experts out of my area of expertise. Maybe Michael Lowry. He's really big into this Gulf sea surface temperature stuff, and some others out there, some oceanographers that are paying attention to this in a different way than we do, to maybe give us some answers as to why it is this warm relative to average. And it's not just the Gulf. Look, right off my coast, I'm here in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's about right there, the Cape Fear area. There's 26 Celsius. It's almost the new year. It's almost Christmas. And if you took a boat out of Morehead City and, Harker's Island, that area, Beaufort, and went out into the Gulf Stream, which is not even 30 miles offshore, boom, you could dive off of that sucker, park it in the Gulf Stream, and it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's incredible. I wish I had a boat and I could do that. Take the family out and go swimming in the Gulf Stream. Of course, I'm a chicken and I'd be worried about something with lots of teeth biting me. And that's why I don't own a boat, among other reasons. But yeah, seriously, folks, this is not normal. I'm just telling you, it's not. And, you say, well, that's just hyperbole trying to push some agenda. Well, no, look at the map. It's not normal. There's your anomalies right there. The map doesn't have an agenda, and it's just based on averages from a certain time period, and then you have the temperatures against those averages, and you get anomalies, outliers, statistics, whatever you want to call it. And these are some serious outliers and statistical anomalies. And it's time to start getting some answers. So as we get into the new year, start dialing some people up that I know. Reach out to our awesome pool of talent out there in the Twitter universe especially, and see who can enlighten us on exactly why. Maybe nobody knows. I don't know. Let's just start asking. Let's beat the bushes and see what we can find out, all right? All right, let's leave the tropics and go into lower 48 weather here. Nice satellite animation from Tropical Tidbits. A little bit of a skip in it, kind of like my voice because I'm talking too fast. A little bit of a skip in the frames. There must have been some data outage or something. But we do have this storm system developing. There's some upper level energy there, surface low in the Gulf. That's going to be a big player for our friends over here in Florida. If you're going down to the parks tomorrow, etc., yeah, it's going to be kind of wet. We'll show you this in more detail in a moment. Otherwise, some storminess in the Pacific Northwest, a little bit of a weather system moving across the northern tier of the country. Not bitter cold with ridiculous low wind chill values and just yucky, frigid Arctic weather anywhere right now. We're lucky in that regard. And it is a big travel week, as the headline was trying to, emphasize there. That's why it's called a headline. So let's look at what the next few days have in store just going on the GFS, shall we? So this is the satellite animation, which, by the way, if you're going down to the Caribbean, perfect. Muy bueno down there. And, they speak Portuguese, French, Spanish, whatever. I get it. Just saying, it is awesome if you want to go down to the Caribbean and celebrate Christmas there. The weather is fine and dandy, which it should be this time of year. So, lower 48 weather, all right? Just real quick geography. There, well, let's use a color that stands out. How about this purple? That's a good color. There's Maine, all right? There's Massachusetts, New England, etc., Long Island, New Jersey, the Capes, including Hatteras and Lookout and Fear, down through Cape Romaine, and then around Florida. What is that down there? Cape Romano, or I forget. Doesn't matter. I don't know everything. Panhandle of Florida. There's Cape San Blas. I know that. I'm trying. There's Mobile, down to New Orleans, etc. Of course, that's farther up there. But you get the idea, all right? Just getting your bearings. And then here's Mexico, the Baja, and then our good friends over on the West Coast, including British Columbia. All right? So let's move this through and see what we see. First of all, just kind of move it through, and then we'll go back and pick it out. So you see that one feature really should stand out. Down there, that's the storm system cutting across the Gulf. Non-tropical in nature. It's baroclinic. It's temperature contrast and, whatever, some convective processes, but it's not warm core. It's not symmetrical. It's got a front associated with it. And I mean, look, it even looks like a big comma right there. So no, it's not tropical. There was a little bit of brouhaha on Twitter the other day. A couple people were saying, oh, we might have a subtropical or a tropical storm in December. Well, there's just too much other energy, not of latent heat variety, to get this thing cranked up. It's the temperature contrast and the atmosphere battling rather than the heat itself wicking up out of the Gulf of Mexico to create this thing. It's not purely warm core. Some tropical characteristics, windy, moist, stormy, windy, with surge, like I said, windy 3 times now. That seems tropical, and it's going to be kind of warm, but it's the structure of it. No, it is not tropical in nature, a non-tropical system. But that doesn't matter. What matters are the impacts. And this is certainly going to bring a few impacts to you folks along the northern Gulf Coast first, just a little bit of showers. But by Tuesday, tomorrow morning, and then the low jumps offshore towards Wednesday, kind of rainy there for the Florida Peninsula, into Georgia and the Carolinas, and maybe even parts of the mid-Atlantic. Possibly some snow in Maine along the backside of it. And then out west, this is Wednesday now, 3 days before Christmas. A little bit of travel nightmare kind of stuff setting up, but nothing ridiculous. I know that, some snow looks like out at, SeaTac, Seattle, Tacoma. Maybe some travel problems, maybe down to San Francisco. This is Thursday. Getting down towards, the last hours before Christmas there. That's Christmas Eve. Some travel problems, but all in all, from what we've seen in the past, not too bad. Regionally, some minor problems. Tomorrow, Orlando could be impacted, and that's a big travel hub. Lots of people going down to the parks and just visiting Florida as a whole. So check the schedules, be patient, get to the airport early, and have a plan if you do have cancellations or delays that can get screwed up because of the weather. So let's just take on this all the way out to day 5, and then day 6, and then day 7. So this is now 2 days after Christmas. And what's it look like? Well, again, no major storms, but enough there that there could be a couple of travel problems. And this right here, interesting on Wednesday, if that 984 millibar low is a little bit more to the north and west, there could be more precip back over the major hubs of LaGuardia, JFK, Boston, Portland and Maine, etc. Not so much Philly and Newark, and certainly nothing near D.C., but we'll have to watch this. This is still 54 hours out, and we know how sometimes those... Sorry, I didn't mean to go full screen. Too much, Mark. Sometimes those lows tend to go back to the northwest a little bit more over time. They trend more northwest. So just pay attention to the weather a little bit. There's a lot of stuff going on this week, getting ready for the big Christmas holiday. But if you got travel plans, the weather should be one of your biggest, maybe your number one concern, whether you're driving, taking a train, a bus, or your car, SUV, or truck. Just be aware of it. All right? That's what I'm here to help you. Just remind you. Stay on top of it. Storm-wise, after what we've been through, this is good to see. Not much today. Just a few general garden variety showers and thunderstorms along the Florida Peninsula. Nothing you can't handle, really. Just, be aware of it. But tomorrow, marginal risk, and I think that there's a chance that this could get upgraded somewhere in here to a slight risk, which is a little bit more favorable for severe weather. But again, that's a big travel area. A lot of people going down to the parks. I've said that over and over. You got I-75 down there, I-4, I-95, I-10 that goes across, and then the Turnpike. Millions of people on the move, and you're driving down there and dealing with all that. The airport, MCO, I think is their call letters at Orlando. That's enough of a nightmare there that it could screw you up. Just the little bit of severe weather potential with heavy rain and so forth. So just plan accordingly and take a deep breath and be patient. That's the biggest thing, especially if you got kids. Try to set a good example for them, all right? And then out to day 3, a little bit of action, maybe on the west coast with some convective activity. And again, that could cause some problems perhaps in some of the airports, mainly Seattle, Tacoma, going forward. So interesting few days ahead, but not the worst we've seen, that's for sure. Just keeping you aware, all right? So stay on top of it, and good luck to you if you are traveling. All right, the next episode of the Hurricane Highway Season 2, now episode 3, ready for public release. It has been on Patreon for several months now. Our patrons support this through their monthly membership to our wonderful cooperative that we have, and we put the names of those good people in the credits of every one of these episodes. So the third one that's available, we put it on Facebook the other day, and I'm going to make it on YouTube literally as soon as I'm done cutting this video. I'm going to make it public for you. It's about last year's Tropical Storm Cristobal, still don't know how to say it. And wait till we get to the 5th episode about Isaias. A couple of comedy bits in there you'll enjoy. That was a doozy last year. Remember that one? So this is the 3rd episode. The 4th one is already done, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks that I'll make it publicly available. And then I'm continuing to work on additional episodes. I really enjoy doing it. It's a big, arduous process, of course, collecting interviews, putting all the video together, scoring the music, getting the narrative ready, writing it, producing it, getting it all synced up. I enjoy it, but boy, is it hard to do. It's like the biggest Rubik's Cube you could ever imagine. And then there's like 12 of them, because there's probably going to be 12 episodes for season 2. And that's just season 2. Then I got to do season 3 soon thereafter, which is this past hurricane season, 2021. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I'm just telling you, as the showrunner of this entire crowdfunded series, it's hard to do. And I'm glad to do it, but it takes work. But the bottom line is, it's a cool series. I think you guys will like it. Season 2, Episode 3, Cristobal, or Cristobal, whatever the heck it was, from last year. That'll be publicly available in just a little while. So enjoy, and thanks to all of you who have supported it to make it happen. All right, speaking of supporting, you can support me just by tuning in on Twitter or following on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, get notified, select the little bell or whatever they have now, make the algorithms do their thing by liking the video. If you don't like it, yeah, that's fine. I can handle that. Hopefully you do like what we do. And you can email me anytime. Hermark, we still have email. hermark@gmail.com. And you can point your device at that QR code and join up on Patreon. That's not a bad Christmas present. Join up, for yourself, and send it to your spouse or your friend, and they can log in too and check it out. We do allow on our insider site 2 logins per username. So seriously, that's a good Christmas gift. And I can even send you like a PDF file or something that says, welcome. Hey, Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining up. If you want that last-minute electronic gift, you don't have to worry about it being shipped through the mail or UPS or FedEx. They're already busy enough. But yeah, a little bit of a gift idea if you are so inclined. All right? All right, that is it from me for today. Have a great rest of your Monday and a great rest of your week ahead. A huge thank you from my family to yours for you being a part of everything that I do and helps to support what I do. We appreciate it very much. This is my career. This is what I do for a living. And it helps to feed the family, pay the bills. But more importantly, in terms of the career part, is that I get to do this with you all. And sometimes, literally, you're helping out in person. And that is an awesome thing. It's great to have had you along for the ride again this year. And I look forward to a very successful and prosperous and awesome 2022. All right, I'll see you again next Monday, probably early in the morning, because I'm doing some traveling to do more production on Season 2 of the Hurricane Highway. I'll tell you more about that on Monday. Between now and then, Merry Christmas. Not quite Happy New Year. We'll do that later. Again, I'm Mark Sutta. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you again next Monday morning.